Hey guys, it's Fanya and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I am going to be doing a May wrap up plus June TBR. So far this month, I have read 13 books. I've read 13 books this month, which is a record for me. I've never read this many books before in 1 month. 13 books is a lot. Let's go straight into the video and talk about every single book that I've read this month. So the first book that I've read this month is Happy Place. I made a reading vlog of me reading Happy Place. If you haven't watched that one already, I will link it in like the I section up there. I rated it 5 stars. I love it so much. It's so good, and it's not just like a normal romance. It has more depth into it, and I think that's why I love it more. It talks about friendship and family relation, and it's just so much more than a romance. So I really recommend you guys to read Happy Place if you have not read that already. The second book that I've read this month is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I rated that one 4 stars. It's about Bea and Levi, who were sort of like enemies when they were in college. It has like a miscommunication trope. You should keep that in mind. But I read this in one of my videos, which is reading romance books for a week, and I actually love this one more than the Love Hypothesis. I mentioned this on that video. It's just the settings. It's more interesting to me, like all about NASA and the space, the scientific things that are in the book. It just fascinates me more. The next book that I've read this month is Meet Me in the Margins by Melissa Ferguson. Really hope I'm pronouncing the author's name right. I rated that one 3 stars. If you wanted to know like my thoughts about the book, you should definitely watch my reading romance books for a week video, because I read like 6 books in that video, which makes my reading month this month like a huge success, because I read so many books in that week. That was just like a cute normal romance read for me. I don't really feel like the chemistry between the main characters. The next book that I've read this month is 9 Days by Julina Falk. That one I'm also not sure how to pronounce the author's name. I rated that 9 Days 4 stars. I sometimes find it very relatable. It's just a very captivating story to read, and so I really like it, hence why I gave it a 4 stars. The next book that I've read this month is When in Rome, and I know I mentioned this like a couple times already, but I freaking love that book. It's cute, it's light, and it's just everything that I wanted in a book, like small town vibes. It's just so good, and like the male main characters is like the best book boyfriend ever. It's just so good. If you want to know more about the book, you should definitely watch my reading romance books in a week video and my previous upload, which is my 5-star reads of 2023, because I rated that book 5 stars, and it's definitely going into like my personal favorite book of all time. The next book that I've read this month is The Layover by Lacey Walden. I'm such a mood reader, and so when I was reading this book, it's giving me all the summary vibes, but it's just that. So it doesn't like make me feel something. It's just like a good in-between reads. It is good for like a beach read. This is the perfect book for that, because it's all about the summary vibe, and I do recommend it if you are looking for like book recommendations to add to your summer TBR. That one is perfect. But yeah, I've rated that one 3 stars out of 5 stars. The next book that I've read this month is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. So this is like the second book to like the When in Rome universe. It's like it's connected, but it's like standalones. So like it's an interconnected standalones. So you don't necessarily have to read When in Rome to read Practice Makes Perfect, but I would really recommend you to read When in Rome first and then read Practice Makes Perfect, because it makes more sense that way. It is such a cute, light romance read, and again, book boyfriends material. I feel like Sarah Adams always wrote like the best book boyfriend ever. I rated that book, Practice Makes Perfect, 4 stars out of 5 stars. The next book that I read this month is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. Now, I expected too much of this book, I think. I don't like this one as much as I like Every Summer After. It felt too unrealistic for me. I don't feel the connection with the book. The only thing that I really like from the book is like the connection between Fern and her mother, so like the female main character and her mother. Other than that, I don't really think I connected that much to the book, so it's like a normal read for me. That's why I give it like a 3 stars out of 5. The next book that I read this month is Fourth Wing. So this is my first fantasy of the year, and it is so good. I think I'm kind of obsessed with the book. It's like I still think about the book even until now. And this book makes me want to go into like my fantasy era. I've talked about this in my previous video, my 5-star reads, because I gave this one a 5 stars. The tension, the enemies to lovers, slow burn, it's just so good. And like the vibes, and like, did I mention dragons? Because that's so cool to read in a book. Like, I'm obsessed with the dragons. They're so sassy, and the banter between the main characters and their dragons is like top tier. I love it so much. I cannot wait for like the second book, Iron Flame, which will be out in November, I believe. But I literally cannot wait to read that one. But yeah, I rated that one 5 stars out of 5 stars. The next book that I've read this month is the Shatter Me series. So I talk about this in like my April Wrap Up May TBR, where I wanted to start Shatter Me series in May, and I did start it a couple days ago. So I read Shatter Me, I read Destroy Me, I read Unravel Me, and I read Fracture Me. So I read those like 2 books and 2 novellas already this month, and I give Shatter Me 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really like the book at first because I find it very slow to follow in like the first part of the book, but then as soon as you go into like the 60% mark of the book, it starts to get more interesting, and I get the hype only after like I reached that point, like 60%, 65%ish into the book, and then it starts getting more interesting. But the start of the book is not really giving it for me. I talk about this in my Bookstagram, and a lot of people are saying that you need to push through it because the next books are way better than the first one, and I truly agreed with that one. So after I read Shatter Me, I read Destroy Me, which is the novella after Shatter Me from Warner's point of view, and I rated that one 4 stars out of 5 stars. I give it a higher rating just simply because like I like the writing more, and like although it's just a novella, which means it's just like a little tiny bit part of a book, it gives me everything that I want to know, and it's really nice to see like the events from Warner's point of view, and like we get to see like where his mind is at, where he's coming from, and what his actual motives are. And so I like that one more than the Shatter Me book, the first one. And then I read Unravel Me, which is the second book of the series, and I actually like this one so much. It literally gives all of the things that is lacking in like the first book. From my opinion, it's more fast-paced. It's just a lot better than the first one, so I rated that one 4 stars. And then after I read Unravel Me, I read Fracture Me, which is the novella from Adam's points of view. And to be honest, I don't really like that one. I don't really like to read from Adam's point of view because it simply just states what we already know from the second book, Unravel Me, and just adds a little bit more of like Adam's way of thinking. It's not giving more, and like it simply is obvious what Adam's priority is, and I was simply not a fan of Adam even since the first book. It's not really that good for me. I gave it a 2 stars out of 5 stars. So yeah, those are the books that I've read in May. A lot of books. Moving on to my June TBR. I have a couple of books that I want to read in June. So the first thing is I'm going to probably finish the Shatter Me series first in June because I'm in the middle of it. I am reading Ignite Me right now, which is the 3rd book. But I'm going to finish Shatter Me in June. And then, because I'm in my fantasy era, I am going to try and finish the Atlas 6 because I've started this book like a few months ago, but then I stopped reading it. I was just not feeling it. I was just not in the mood, and because I'm such a mood reader, I just didn't have that one. I'm going to try and pick up the book again and continue reading the Atlas 6. Hopefully, I'll finish it this time. The next one, I am going to read Sorcery of Thorns. A lot of people say that it is good, so I want to try and read Sorcery of Thorns. And I'm also going to read Ninth House by Lee Berdugo. I saw this on a bookstore and I read like the blurb, the summary behind the book, and it seems so interesting. I'm gonna try and read that as well. So yeah, I think June is going to be my month of fantasy reading. I really hope I can finish like all of the books that I mentioned. But right now the priority is to finish the Shatter Me series because there's so many books and it's a lot. So let's try and finish that in the next week or so. Those are my May wrap up and June TBR, June hopefuls. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I am going to make more books related videos in the future, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more books content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!